Hey guys, this is a guide on how to find morphine injectors in raid, which could end up helping you if you are working on either the Painkiller task or the Spa Tour Part 7 task, or even if you just have a daily or a weekly that requires you to find morphine injectors in raid. Now, a way that you can obtain a guaranteed found in raid morphine is actually by crafting it at the Medstation level 2, and to craft it then you have to use one pile of meds, one pain pill, and then also one syringe, and then that will craft you one morphine injector, and it will take you 1 hour and 12 minutes to complete. And just to clarify for some of you guys, crafting an item will give you a found in raid status, and it will allow you to turn it over towards the task. Now, some of the other ways that you can get your hands on a found in raid morphine injector is going to be inside of med bags, sports bags, 5x2 weapon boxes, medical supply crates, as well as ground and buried barrel caches, and this is also the only injector that can actually spawn inside of med cases. And you can also get found in raid morphines by spawning in with them on your scav raids from daily or weekly task rewards, from medical supply airdrop crates, or also from your scav case whenever you happen to have your hideout leveled up enough. And just so you guys know, you can also find morphine injectors inside loose medical loot spawns that are around maps, especially on customs, woods, streets, and lighthouse. Although I have definitely found morphine injectors on every map in the game, I just tend to run those maps the most, so it definitely seems like I have the best luck there, but that's probably because I do run them the most frequently. Now, another way for you to get morphine injectors is if you do happen to kill any scav boss guards, then they very regularly have the morphine injectors on them. So if you do kill any of the bosses like Rashala, Gluhar, Sanitar, and their guards, then it's definitely worth your while to check them for morphine injectors if you do need them. However, just keep in mind that BSG usually does keep the boss spawn rate at a basically non-existent level for the first couple months of wipe. And another tip to remember is that morphine injectors can also be on AI as well as on player scavs and also on PMCs that you do eliminate, since they may have gone and looted an area before you were able to get to there. So just make sure to keep an eye out while looting bodies, especially at the beginning of a wipe, since this is a very common theme that everybody's working on this task since it is such an early task. And since we are all searching for the same thing, then everyone tends to pick up this item if they do find it, so it is very common to be on dead bodies. Now, if you're looking on customs, then the most common morphine spawns are going to be at the middle areas of the map, basically at Crack House, Fortress, and also at the Power Building. But inside of Crack House is definitely going to be the best and most consistent spawn. Now, where you want to look in Crack House is going to be in the first floor and on the left-hand side when you do come in the front door, and there will be a med case on top of the box, and there is also going to be a dead body where there can also be spawns both around the dead body and also on the cart next to the body. After you check here, then you do want to head down the hallway. There is going to be a dead scav with a valuable spawn on him on the left-hand side, but for the purpose of this video, then we will be going past that, but that's just for your guys' knowledge. And once you do head upstairs, then you are basically going to have the hole inside of this large room on your right, which is going to be facing the fortress, where morphines do have a chance to spawn on any of the shelves and tables in here. Basically, any surface can have a morphine on it, so it's good to check all over the entire room. And then there is actually a morphine on the bottom shelf here in the last place that I check. And then moving into the hallway, then there is a possible spawn on the couch, and then inside this room on the right hand side of the couch, and there is also multiple spawns, one of them on top of the box as soon as you enter into the room, as well as on these shelves to the left as well. So after I finish checking Crack, then I do move on to Fortress, and once you do go into the Fortress building, then you do want to check inside the med room, which is going to be in the left, and inside of this corner room there is usually 1 or 2 medical cases, and these are going to be located on the bottom bunk beds as well as some loose medical loot spawns next to them. After I finish checking here, then I will head up to the top floor of the Fortress building, where there is a medical supply wooden crate on the side closest to Crack House behind one of these stationary guns, and then you do want to make sure that you crouch when you do loot this so that you don't give somebody a free snipe on you. And then after checking here, then you want to move back over to the opposite side of the Fortress building, and then on this top section over here is where there is a medical case as well as another covered dead body, which does have a loose medical loot spawn chance around it. After I finish checking here, then I will head over to the old gas station past the trains in order to check at the giving tree, and then also at the medical bag that is just behind it inside this concrete circle thing. And then after checking this area, then another good place for morphines is going to be checking inside the power building, as I mentioned earlier. So we will be running past the old gas station area and then going underneath the bridge and then hanging to our left, where you do want to go into this large building on our left. And this is going to be the power building. So once you do go in through the door here, then you want to drop down into this hole that's in front of you, which will bring you into the basement portion of this power building. Once you do move further into the basement, then you will see a light on the left side where there will be another covered dead body that does have loose medical loot spawns around it, as well as some medical spawns on the chair where I do find another morphine. And then there is also a med case that you can find on the ground that you can loot as well. Now, there is also 3 other areas on customs that I can mention that are kind of isolated by themselves, so not necessarily part of a route, but just basically good for you guys to be aware of, because depending on your spawn, then you can basically always have an area to check. So firstly, we'll be at the big red area where there is going to be two pretty close spawns that you can check. Firstly is going to be inside of a med bag behind the big red building, inside of a trunk in the car of the storage containers area. And then secondly, we'll be in the little shack next to Big Red on the main bridge side, and then inside of this shack is going to be a med case on the table when you do enter in. The next area will be the new gas and antenna location. So up at the antenna area, which is up above new gas, there is a bunkhouse which is located here. Inside of this bunkhouse, there is going to be a med case on the table as soon as you enter in, and then you can also check for loose medical loot on that chair as well. So then the next spawn will be just below the antenna area at the new gas station. However, this location will require the gas station storage room key. And if you do have this key, then inside of this room, then there will be a med bag as well as a med case. And this room is obviously located inside of the actual gas station. So depending upon if you do have the key and also if you do get the right spawn, then you can end up going inside of this area, and it is definitely a good location to check. And then lastly is the USEC building, which is going to be by the ZB11 extract. And inside of this USEC building, then we will have a medical bag that we can check, which is in the back storage room of the green screen room side. So as you go past the green screen room, then you want to enter into the door on the far right. And at the very back left corner of this room on the bottom shelf is where a med bag can spawn. After you do check inside this med bag, then it is a good idea to check the rest of the green screen room, just because you can have some pretty good loot in here. And this is always a good area to finish with if you are heading towards this extract, because you are very close and then you can just go and reset. So now on to woods. There is going to be two main areas that I have a lot of luck when searching for morphine stims, and the first one is going to be at the medical camp area at the southern portion of the map. And this area does have several med bags as well as a bunch of loose medical spawns all around the camp. However, usually this area is very contested at the beginning of every raid, so the chance of you actually finding a stim will decrease depending on which spawn that you end up getting. But since there are so many spawns now, as well as with the addition of dynamic loot, then there is always the chance that a spawn was missed. So I will be showing you guys in the background some places that I tend to check when coming to this med camp area. But like I said, with the new dynamic loot spawns, it is impossible for me to tell you where every single spawn is, because we literally just don't know them all yet. So it is going to be best for you guys to check all the possible spawns during your own raid, but the typical places that I would check in here are going to be on the left of the front entrance on these shelves. And then the med bags are going to be at the end of this row as well. You will also have some spawns all throughout the makeshift connexes in here on both sides, as well as on top of any of these tables all throughout the med camp. You will also have a spawn inside of the open connex that does have all the covered bodies in it. There is a table at the end of this connex where there is a possible loose medical loot spawn. And there can also be a spawn in the back of the ambulances as well. And after I do check all these different places, then I always check at the tent at the back end of the camp. This area has several tables inside, and usually there is a med bag on the chair in the back. And in this area, there can be a whole bunch of loose medical loot spawns on the tables and also on this cart. And as you can see, there is an Abdobo sitting on this back left table in front of the med bag chair spawn. There can also now be several different medical supply crates inside of this camp as well, so just be sure to go around and then check all these different wooden boxes and see if they are a medical supply crate or a ration crate or what they are. After finishing here, then the other secondary place on woods that I do make sure to check is going to be at Proper's Little Camp, which is going to be in the northwest part of the map up by the convoy. So I am actually going to teleport us up the smaller camp, and once we do head over here, then you will see another tent, but we actually want to go on the right side of this tent where you will see a table with a gurney on it. At this gurney, then you will have several loose medical loot spawns that are going to be on top of the table as well as underneath it, and also some spawns are actually going to be inside the gurney itself, so just make sure that you do hover your mouse over it to make sure that you don't miss any. You can find almost any medical item in the game here, including LEDXs, O-scopes, and also some of the stims that you need for this task. And this is definitely a location that I check all the time when I am in this area, just because there's high tier loot that's left behind here all the time, because people just don't realize that loot can spawn inside of the gurney as well as underneath the table. So after we've finished searching this area, then we will head down the hill and then in between the two bodies of water just to the right, and we are going to head over towards the convoy. Now this is the same convoy that you had to find for the search mission proper task, and once you do get to the actual convoy, then you will want to check around these 4 different covered bodies around here. And when you are looking around the bodies, what you are looking for is the loose medical loot spots that can potentially be here, which does include the stims that you need for this task. Now, depending upon your spawn or extract, then there is one additional med bag that you can check that is going to be located at the back of the checkpoint SUV. And while you are here, I do recommend that you check the driver's seat for the violet keycard spawn, and then you can check for the med bag in the back of the SUV. Now, in my raid, of course, the med bag didn't spawn in for me to show you guys. And this is going to be all the different areas on woods that I do typically go to check for this task. So now on the streets, there is just an insane number of places for you to check on this map, so it would be impossible for me to highlight all of them. However, I will go over the most medically dense loot areas that will give you guys that can actually run streets several possible spawns at once. So the first area that I will go over is going to be the 3 pharmacies on the map, and basically there is going to be one located at each section of the map, which means that when you do spawn in, then you will always be close to one. And they are rarely ever looted, and then the layout of each one is going to be quite similar, with a mixture of between 4 and 5 med cases and med bags, as well as some medical loose loot are all around these places. And just so that you guys know, these are the same pharmacies that you do have to locate for the Pets Won't Need It Part 2 task. Now, another location that is rarely ever looted is inside the dental office of the Pinewood Hotel, and it is on the left side of the first floor of the Pinewood Hotel that runs alongside the Klimoff Street. Now, this dental area does have 3 side rooms that have several different loose medical spawns that include a lot of different stims, so this is definitely a great area to check to make some progress towards your painkiller and samples tasks. And even though nothing spawned in this video for me, then just be aware that this is an offline raid just to show you guys where to go, so the loot pool is definitely going to be a lot worse. And then the last area and the most well-known one will be inside the Lexos compound, where there are several different spawns inside of it, and we will go over those now. So entering in from the Check 15 side, then there are going to be some loose medical spawns inside the Connex on the right and left side of this entrance, and there is also usually a medical case in the left Connex as you come in. Now once we start moving back into the middle of the compound, then you will notice the urban medicine garage, and then you will want to head inside of here. And once you do get in here, then there will be a med bag, a med case, as well as a medical supply crate, and then also a whole bunch of loose medical loot that can spawn all over the place in here. So you definitely want to make sure that you check all the different areas. Now, once you come out of this garage, then you do want to head to the right, and then there will actually be a Connex that is on the right side across from the Aspect building, and it is going to be on the right of the entrance. And once you go into this Connex on the right-hand side, then there will be a table in here that does have some medical loot spawns, and frequently it will spawn stims. And then the last area that you do want to go to is going to be inside of the Aspect Company office building, where we will have a few different spots to check. So as soon as we do open up this door, then you will want to look at the bookshelf that's directly in front of you, as well as on top of the filing cabinet just to the left of the bookshelf. There are several different high value spawns that can be here, and they are oftentimes missed. After you do check this area, then you do want to head to the left and then inside the office on your right hand side, and inside of here is a potential stim spawn along every single shelf that is inside of this room. And this is definitely a great place to check for your painkiller and also for your samples task, because I find stims in here all the time. After we check here, then you do want to head back out to the entryway that we came in, and then open up the door on the opposite side. Inside of this room, then there will be 3 different high value spawns on each one of the tables that are directly in front of you and then to the left. And then you will also have a med case on the far left side, as well as some loose medical loot on the table around it. And definitely make sure that you hover your mouse over top of this, because that loot can actually hide underneath of the debris on the table. And just to add on to this, then there is actually a high value medical spawn that's not far from here in the first floor of the Concordia building, just behind the desk. And it is just off to the right corner of this Lexos compound. However, to get there, then you will have to maneuver around the mine. So just make sure that you are conscientious of that as you are trying to go over there, or you can just leave it and then go and extract with all the loot that you just found. Now, just so that you guys know, you can also obtain morphine injectors from completing certain tasks, but you will only get access to these tasks after completing Painkiller. The reason why I'm telling you this is because you will need to acquire 4 more found in raid morphines down the road for Spot 2 or Part 7. So then at least you guys will have the information now to possibly hold on to them for later if you are struggling to find them at this time, and then you won't have to have this issue later on in the wipe. So just that you guys know, 2 morphines can be obtained as a task reward for Healthcare Privacy Part 3, 4 morphines from Vitamins Part 2, and then 3 morphines from Decontamination Services, and then 2 morphines from the Pets Won't Need It Part 2 tasks. So hopefully you guys found this guide useful and it did help you to complete this task. Thank you guys so much for choosing my video to watch on this. If I did happen to miss any spawns, feel free to write them down in the comment section down below, as it may end up helping somebody else before I get the chance to update this task guide if need be. So if you're still here at this point in the video, I definitely appreciate you, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is just a couple of my different social links in case you guys wanted to connect more easily. I am primarily streaming on Twitch now multiple nights a week. So if you do want to connect with me or my community, that would probably be the easiest way to do so. And if you do come over to the Twitch and you want to join the Discord community, then just type !Discord or cord in the chat in order to get an invite link. And if you don't use Twitch, then I do have a link in the picture as well as a link below in the description. And we are growing and currently have an active and welcoming community with people of all experience and skill levels. So there will always be someone who could help to answer any questions that you may have. As always, thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching the video, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.